welcome back to my YouTube channel. For today's video, I am going to share with you 10 ways on how to teach grammar effectively and 10 rules of correct usage with examples and brief explanations. So these things will help you and will guide you in your journey in learning English. So all of these things are the things that I have learned and I find it very effective in my journey in learning English as my major. So are you guys ready to learn? Let's learn here. To start with, I have here the first one. Teach grammatical forms in association with their meaning. So grammatical form can be described as what a word, a phrase, or a clause looks like. So traditional grammar refers to grammatical forms as parts of speech. So the English language contains 8 basic grammatical forms, or we have 8 basic parts of speech. We have here the noun, the pronoun, verb, adjective, adverb, preposition, conjunction, and interjection. So in teaching grammatical forms, in teaching these basic grammatical forms, we have to associate this with their meaning so that the students would also know the meaning or the definition of these terms. Second is use grammatical terms that explain them through examples. So it is true that students must be able to recognize grammatical elements like nouns, verbs, and simple sentences. So functional grammar goes beyond simply examining word inside a sentence. To use them in their own oratory and writing, they must be able to comprehend when, why, or how these are utilized. So let's just say your grammar lesson or our grammar lesson is about a noun. So it is given that we have to give the definition of a noun to explain it more to our students. But the thing here is that we have to use examples so that students would grasp the information easily and they will remember what a noun really is. So to integrate these examples, we have to give the definition first. So a noun is a word that refers to a thing. So we could give them an example of a thing that is referring to a noun. For example, a book, it is a thing. So for a person, a noun also refers to a person. We could have the name of a person, like Daniel Padilla. An animal, dog, a place, Davao City, a quality, softness, an idea, justice, or an action. For example, is arrival. So that's how we use these grammatical terms by explaining them through these examples. Next is develop an interactive teaching. So very efficient methods of teaching grammar involves incorporating interactivity into lessons. So by utilizing games to teach grammar, the teacher engages students and the process helps the learners to retain a lot of the content that they've learned. So such as simulations and role play. So it is a form of experiential motivation that helps students to connect with the real world situation. So that's how they could also apply their knowledge into practice. Next is help students own new vocabulary words. Students learn new words better when they encounter them often in a various context. So to help students own vocabulary words, we can give them a reading material and require them to list down all the unfamiliar words and find the meaning of it in the dictionary themselves. So this one, I think this is a very effective way in teaching grammar to the students, because when we allow students, we were giving them the reading materials, right? So when we give them the reading materials, we are also imploring their reading ability or their reading skills. But aside from that, we are also giving them the opportunity to seek for the word in the dictionary to find its meaning themselves. So if the students have this opportunity to find the meaning of the word itself, they will learn that vocabulary themselves by their own way of getting the information. So if they have the meaning from the dictionary, so it will be easier for them to retain or to remember the meaning themselves. All right. Next is develop a word mapping activities. A word map is a visual organizer that promotes vocabulary development. So using a graphic organizer, students think about forms or concepts in several ways. So most world map organizer engage students in developing a definition, synonym, antonym, and sentence construction of a given vocabulary word or concept, just like this example that I have shown you. Next is make use of grammar flashcards. So the flashcard collection are a fun way to help students review important aspects of grammar. So they can go over different types of words and how they fit together. So this strategy or this way is what I'm gonna integrate in the future. So using flashcards to present the words or the grammatical terms to the students to make it easier for them to learn about it. So when presenting a flashcard in the students, of course, we have to give on the front page, we can have the grammatical terms such as noun. On the back page, we will have the example so that we could only just flip it up and students would also learn about it every day. So we could also present that every day. And also, in making use of grammar flashcards, we can integrate this during or after the lesson, okay? Next is encourage students to develop confidence in communication. So communication is about passing information from one person to another. So this means that both the sending and receiving of messages are equally important. May it be in a verbal communication by speaking or listening, or non-verbal through writing and reading. So by encouraging students to develop confidence in communication, we have to encourage them to speak in English. So even though they have these grammatical errors or semantic errors, but if they were given the time to practice, or even in a classroom, we will require students to speak English only policy, something like that. If we will integrate that, that will help them practice their vocabularies or their sentence construction and something like that. So next is assign students with grammar lessons. So this way is what I really think one of the best way in teaching grammar effectively to the students. Because if we assign students with one grammar lessons, of course, there's a lot of grammar lessons. But if we assign one student to that specific grammar lesson, such as, what do we call this? Indefinite pronouns. So if we assign a student to explain or to report this grammar lesson, of course, it will make the student research about it. So in that way, the student who were assigned to that grammar lessons will grasp some ideas, some information to join them together to explain it clearly to the class. It will benefit herself because, of course, she will learn more about that grammar lessons, and of course, it will also be a way for her to really understand that grammar lessons, because students have this limited knowledge about grammar lessons, something like that. So this will give them the opportunity to grasp more ideas, to learn more about it, and of course to remember it as a part of their learning. Next is harness the power of digital tools. So this is connected with the assigned grammar lesson to the class, all right, or assigning grammar lessons to the students. So harness the power of digital tools. So if ever you will assign the grammar lessons to a student, we could also require them to harness the power of digital tools. So they could record themselves, and they will explain their learnings. They will explain the things that they have researched, so that it will not only benefit herself as she learned about it, but it will also benefit the other students or the classmates or the possible learners or listeners or watchers of that video. So we can have a video presentation about it to explain what that grammar lesson is all about. So lastly is apply the four condition in teaching grammar. So this way is very important because, of course, in teaching grammar, we have to integrate learnings to the students, of course. But as a part of a teacher, of course, we have to give our guidance to the students. So, and that way we have to apply the 4 conditions in teaching grammar, which is the input. First, refers to the processable language that the learners are exposed to while listening or reading, or what we also call receptive skills. So this is from us as a teacher. So we input some lessons to the students, and they will grasp that ideas so that they could learn about the language itself. Next is their output. So it is the language they produce either in speaking or writing, or the productive skills. First is, as a teacher, we input some things or some lessons or grammar lessons to the students. And in that way, they will grasp that information by listening or reading from what we have discussed. And that will develop their receptive skills. Well, their output is the way they integrate or the way they produce their knowledge into practice, like speaking or writing. So this will also develop their productive skills. So their output is what we are going to assess. When they have learned that specific grammar lesson, we have to, of course, assess their output. Next is the feedback. So feedback is very important. This is a part for the teachers, because if the students have their outputs and they have integrated their learning about that, of course, we have to provide feedback if their works were done correctly, or there were some lacking or something like that. So of course, feedback is very important, but we have to remember that in giving feedback, we have to make it a positive feedback for the students so that it will encourage them to do better next time. All right, as lastly is their motivation. So in incorporating motivation, we could have the open-ended questions. So the open-ended questions is a way of giving students the opportunity to ask questions and to find solutions of that question. So students are somewhat like curious about things, or they have a lot of questions about grammars, because grammar is one of it's a complicated one. But then if we have this motivation, if we apply an open-ended question, this will help students find solutions of their questions. And also, there are a lot of motivations depending on the teachers itself of how or they would handle their students. So that's 10 ways on how to teach grammar effectively. And now let's proceed to the 10 rules of correct usage with examples and brief explanations. Rule: every sentence should have SVO. Subject, verb, and object. The verb is usually the action which is performed by the subject, and the object is usually on which the action is performed. For example, Alvin likes to play guitar. So the subject here is Alvin, and the verb here is likes, and the object here is the word guitar. Another rule is if the subject is singular, the verb must be singular too. So for example, she eats apple every day. So the verb here is eats, and our subject here is she. So we are using the singular form of verb eats to refer to the subject, which is she. She eats apple every day. So singular subject requires singular verb. Use either or neither nor depending on the sentence while using singular noun. So either or is used when any one of the two cases is true. So this means that either these must be true or that. So I think, for example, I think either Team A or Team B will win this match. So we could also use neither nor. It is used when two of the subject cases are false. So this means that both are false. So neither Emma nor Via are here today or are late today. So that's how we use either or and neither nor in a sentence. Another rule is that use the article of for consonant sounds and an for vowel sounds. So use the article of for the words which sound consonant at the very beginning. So for example, but. So we could use a but. Okay. Another example is hen. So we could also say a hen, okay? And so use the article an for the words which sound vowel at the very beginning. For example, is apple. So if a vowel sound comes first on the word, we will use the article an. So for example, an apple, an eagle, or an umbrella. So that's how we use that words, okay? Another rule: if a sentence begins with here or there, the verb agrees with the subject which follows it. So, for example, here are the ways on how to bake cookies. From this example, we have to determine first the subject. So the subject here is the word ways, or the ways. The first word here refers to the ways on how to bake cookies. So when we say ways, it is a plural form. So we are going to use the plural form of verb, which is the word are. So these are the ways, or here are the ways on how to bake cookies. Another rule: the indefinite pronouns several, few, both, many, others are plural. So these words are always plural. So since they are plural, so the verb that we are going to use is also plural. So for example, few learners fail their examination. So the indefinite pronoun here is the word few. So what are we referring with this word? So it refers to the learner. So since few is plural, so we are going to use a plural subject, learners. We cannot say learner, so we cannot say few learner. So it has to be few learners. So few learners fail their exams. So the verb here is the word fail. So since our subject here is plural, we are only going to use the base form of the verb, which is fail, not fails or what. Only the base form, fail. Okay? Another rule: compound subjects connected by and use a plural verb. So for example, Princess and Diana are transferring to another school. So when we say compound subjects, we are pertaining to two or more subjects. And because they are more than one, we are going to use the plural form of the verb. So Princess and Diana is a plural subject and are is the plural verb. Okay, another rule: certain nouns, though plural in form, are singular in meaning and therefore takes singular verbs. So words such as mathematics, physics, or something like that. So for example, mathematics is my favorite subject. So the noun here is mathematics. The word mathematics is the original word. There is no such word such as mathematics. Okay, so it's mathematics. Though it ends with S, it's still considered as a singular noun. Okay? The words its and its with apostrophe are not the same. So some words in English language looks like they are the same, but they have different meanings and different usage. So here are the main difference between its and its with apostrophe. So it's without apostrophe, it is a possessive determiner that used to say that it belongs or it holds or refers to something. While it's with apostrophe, or what we also call as it is the short form of it is. So it is used to mention previous things. So for example, the fish is too big for its aquarium. Another example is it's been a wonderful day, or it has been a wonderful day. It's been a wonderful day. Okay? Another rule: collective nouns are words that imply more than one person but are considered singular and use a singular verb. So some examples of this are word group, team, committee, family, and class. So in considering collective nouns, either singular or plural, we have to analyze how the verbs are used. Okay? So if the group acts as one moving the same action, the subject is singular. For example, the troops of monkey is running. So something like that. So the troops of monkey is a singular subject and is running is a singular verb. But if the group acts individually doing different things, the subject is plural. So for example, the troops of monkey are doing different fun activities. So sentence analysis is very important, especially when we are dealing with collective nouns or subjects. So that's 10 rules of correct usage with examples and brief explanations. So I hope you have learned something about this content, and see you on the next one.